Why do some people treat their birthdays like, well, completely normal days? No cake, no awkward office singing, literally just a regular Tuesday. We're going to unpack the psychology behind this, and honestly, by the end of this explainer is going to serve as the absolute perfect review for your next real-world psychology quiz. Let's get started. To structure our study session today, we'll start by talking about the mission to understand this whole phenomenon. Then we'll review 5 core psychological concepts, and we'll end with some practical next steps and actual things to try.
Okay, diving right into section 1, the birthday phenomenon.
Now, think about your friends or your coworkers for a second. Have you ever noticed those specific people who have absolutely zero countdowns? Like no party plans, no big emotional buildup, and when you eagerly wish them a happy birthday, they just kind of give you a polite smile and say, "Oh, thank you, it's just a normal day." On the surface, they might seem like a bit of a killjoy, right? But psychology tells us this isn't random at all. There is a deep psychological why driving this behavior. Which brings us to section 2, our first psychological study concept: internal validation. Birthdays, by their very design, automatically create this intense focus. You get messages, calls, posts. Suddenly, all eyes are on you. But our first key takeaway from No Sense is this idea of internal validation. Basically, people equipped with strong internal validation simply don't depend on that public recognition to feel valued. Their identity stays completely stable, whether it's a regular Tuesday or their actual birthday. They just don't need an annual, highly publicized announcement to justify their existence. All right, section 3 covers our second review concept: emotional intensity. So a birthday brings this massive, concentrated spike of attention, and then, poof, it completely disappears the very next day. This is what we call an artificial high. And for a lot of people, especially those who maybe deal with introversion or social anxiety, that sudden emotional high doesn't feel warm and fuzzy. It actually feels artificial and, honestly, pretty overwhelming. For them, too much focus can activate stress rather than joy, making a low-key day just way easier to manage. Let's slow down a bit for section 4, our third concept: protection mechanisms. This one deals with deeper childhood adaptations. According to Source, we have to look at how a person grew up. If someone experienced inconsistent celebrations, maybe forgotten birthdays, limited family resources, or emotional neglect, their brain does what the human brain does best, right? It adapts. When high expectations repeatedly lead to painful disappointment, the brain learns to just lower those expectations. It acts like the day doesn't matter as a shield. By deciding the day is just a normal day, they completely eliminate the risk of being hurt by unmet expectations. It's a really brilliant, if slightly sobering, defense strategy. Moving to section 5. Our final 2 concepts: autonomy and reflection. Let's look at autonomy first. People who fiercely value their autonomy will often resist the heavy social pressures that come neatly packaged with birthday celebrations. Treating their birthday like a perfectly normal day isn't about ignoring the milestone. It's actually an active strategy to help them stay in control of their own time and their own energy. Because let's be honest, birthdays come with a whole set of exhausting, invisible rules. Society dictates that you gotta reply to all the text messages, put on a big public show of gratitude, and absolutely do something special to mark the occasion. For the highly autonomous individual, these invisible rules just feel like uninvited social obligations that drain their battery rather than fill their cup. Which brings us to the 5th and final concept: private reflection. Instead of dealing with those draining social obligations, the birthday minimalist turns inward. They use the milestone for private reflection. Birthdays can trigger some pretty intense self-evaluation. They're asking themselves, where am I in life right now? What actually changed over this past year and what didn't? Instead of celebrating loudly with a huge crowd, they choose to process these big life questions quietly and internally. I absolutely love this quote from our source material on the No Sense channel. "Silence doesn't mean they don't care, it means they care privately." That just perfectly captures the essence of this whole explainer. Choosing peace and quiet on a birthday is a deeply personal, totally valid way to process a life milestone. It's not a sign of apathy or sadness. It's an intentional choice of private reflection over public performance. How someone treats their birthday simply reveals how they best handle attention and self-worth. All right, section 6, next steps. Let's talk about what to do with all this. Now that we have successfully decoded the psychology, let's wrap up with a practical guide for the real world. Here are your concrete things to try. Number 1, recognize that this behavior is rooted in psychology, not rudeness. Number 2, respect their autonomy. Stop forcing elaborate celebrations or surprise parties on the birthday minimalist.
Honor that need for low-key energy. And number 3, validate their choice to reflect privately. Sometimes respecting them means skipping the public Facebook post and maybe just sending a simple, quiet text that asks for absolutely nothing in return.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought as we close out our study session today. The next time a friend, a coworker, or a partner tells you their birthday is just a regular Tuesday, how will you use this newly acquired psychological toolkit to respond? Will you force your own expectations on them, or will you give them the absolute greatest gift of all, the peace to celebrate their existence exactly as they choose?